The fantasy news must like this water. That's not even a good intro. We're gonna start. I'm just done trying. Ooh, welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, and today we have no sponsor, nothing like that. I'm just gonna quickly say, hey, the Kickstarter for the creator pins is still going on over there if you'd like to check it on out and get yourself a little goblin pin, and no strings attached, just straight up a giveaway. I'm going to PAX East, and if you would like to come and possibly meet me, Kayla and I were given 5 free tickets from PAX East, and just the first 5 people to email this address, we'll give them to you. You don't gotta promote anything, you don't gotta share my channel, just literally, we need to get rid of them, so just email Kayla and she will give them to you. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the fantasy news, starting with a follow-up to the Hugo controversy that happened in last week's episode of Fantasy News. I can't fully recap it here. It's quite the girthy story. Go check out that video if you want to see. But essentially, the Hugo Awards got caught not only for no reason disqualifying certain candidates from receiving career-changing awards, but they then had someone who represented them answering in incredibly non-professional ways to questions from authors like Neil Gaiman in regards to why certain people were disqualified. And the follow-up to this seems to be the first in a suggested series steps to make up for this, where Dave McCarty, the person who was making those rather snide remarks like accusing people of not being able to comprehend English, has resigned, as well as Kevin Standley has resigned as chair of the WIP board of directors. There's also been several censures handed out, but notably, and in my opinion importantly, no official apology or explanation to the authors who were disqualified for no given reason. It's certainly nice to see some participants in this held accountable, but there's still an incredible lack of transparency and nothing done to make up not only to the authors who were disqualified for no reason, but to the winners who now have a mark on the Hugo Awards they won. This forever cloud hanging over where the competition wasn't fair, and it sucks. It's just a situation where I feel like this is a first step. It's a small first step, and a lot of things still need to be done. I'm sorry.
It's Dave's fault.
I'll keep an eye out, of course, here for any further updates that do develop, and if you want to give me your thoughts, I'd love to see them in the comments down below, right below the like and subscribe button, MKBHD style plug. But while we are settling up previously covered controversies here in the channel, before we get into the big book news, I want to talk about the Netflix v Evil Genius Games conflict, which I talked about in this episode of Fantasy News, and that has finally been resolved. For those of you unaware, Netflix, on some pretty, in my opinion, allegedly shaky ground, was trying to back out of a deal with Evil Genius Games right before the launch of Rebel Moon. Now, in hindsight, after seeing how Rebel Moon panned out, my personal theory is that Netflix saw the writing on the wall when they saw early cuts of the movie and knew this wasn't going to be the huge franchise they wanted it to be, and was trying to back out of expensive endeavors. But now we have gotten an announcement from Evil Genius Games that officially reads, "The following is a joint statement prepared by us and Netflix relating to the recently resolved litigation between us. The parties are pleased that they were able to amicably resolve this dispute. Netflix thanks Evil Genius Games for their hard work and professionalism. We will not be releasing a Rebel Moon game, but stay tuned for more amazing cinematic adventures and upcoming new projects." We probably will not learn any more aside from that. I'm imagining some money was exchanged from Netflix to Evil Genius Games to just kind of make this go away, because Netflix has that kind of money, and as a part of that, the details are not going to be released publicly.
It's a secret, is it?
It sucks because I'm always really interested in what exactly the price tags are in this kind of games. It's not my right to know, but I want to know. And I just hope we get to see Evil Genius Games get to take some of that hard work and possibly apply it to something else and continue to succeed. It's not the most satisfying resolution to a story, but as a news presenter, I can't exactly make up a more satisfying one. I'm sorry. And in an exciting book announcement here on the channel, one I initially dismissed because I was ignorant, we have had it announced that from SenLinYu, the author of Manacled, we will be getting Alchemised, coming from Del Rey Books and Michael J. Books. And I'm always really happy to see author of fan fiction be able to transition into creating their own stories. It's a badass journey every single time it happens. I just wasn't aware how popular Manacled is until I got this reaction from Kayla on a live stream. Do you know the fanfic Manacled?
Babe, that's the one I've been telling you about. That's the one that I bought the hardcover edition. It's sitting on our shelf.
Okay, you may have been right, OMG, my heart. The author's publishing their own original book. Look, right here. I'm thrilled to announce my debut novel, Alchemised, coming from Del Rey Books. For more updates and to sign up for my newsletter, head to the website.
Signing up now, right now.
Well done, OMG, my heart. Well done.
She's happy.
And there's so many areas of publishing, from self-pub to fanfic, where genuinely talented writers find their audiences or are able to explode. And I just, even all these years later, still get a warm, fuzzy feeling knowing I'm in an era where people with genuine talent can find their audiences through all these alternative avenues and turn it into successful careers, when that wasn't nearly as possible just a couple decades ago. Yay, heartwarming success and cool announcement from an author that I hope continues to please their fans for decades to come. But in some bastard news, we had a Gentleman Bastard's new cover announced from Scott Lynch with art from Andrew Davis. And this has notably come alongside Scott Lynch, hinting at some possible exciting news for fans. I know nothing beyond that, though he has these new author photos, and he said there's always a reason for new author photos to be taken. I want to encourage the internet to keep their expectations within reason, and I'm not, why am I even trying to fight this fight? People are gonna run with it, and that's how the internet works these days.
It's happening.
It's funny, I really do like this cover art, but it doesn't necessarily fit Locke Lamora for me. I have yet to come across a Lies of Locke Lamora cover that I feel like perfectly encapsulates the grimy yet kind of charming tone of the series. Let me know if there's one you really love in the comments down below. I'll check it out and give you my opinions on it. Speaking of amazing series though, we also got a cover reveal from Suneater, from Patrick Leo, which always makes me happy. Tales from Suneater Volume 1 is getting a new cover, and I think it looks pretty badass with art by James Cook. Just FYI, because I know a lot of people after my review of Suneater had a hard time finding the paperback. Apparently they are back in stock. So if you're one of the people who was messaging me wondering where they could get that book, one, I don't know where to get books when they're sold out. That is not a reason to message me. And two, these ones should be back in stock. And then we also got a cover reveal from Tor.com, who gave us the cover for Time's Agent by Brenda Pinato. We are thrilled to share the cover of Time's Agent, a multiverse story of time travel, love, loss, and final stage capitalism, with art by Alina Mill, coming August of 2024. I really like this cover. I like that premise quite a bit. The only thing I'm not that big a fan of in this tweet is the quote, "What would you do given another universe? A do-over?" That needs to be edited. There's something about that just does not work in my brain. Someone in my Twitch chat says it gives them vibes of like you wouldn't download a car, and I don't know why, but I agree. And then in the final cover reveal from the day, we got the cover for the Fall of Waterstone by Lilith St. Crow. Continue this sweeping Norse-inspired epic fantasy series in the sequel to A Flame in the North, The Fall of Waterstone, available June of 2024, with an illustration by Mike Heath. Great cover, great title. Waterstone immediately makes me think of a bunch of people storming a UK bookstore, but that makes me want to read it more. I would read that book. And then finally, there has been quite the stir around a series of comments from the creative team behind the upcoming live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender adaptation coming over at Netflix that has just undone so much goodwill that they got from the trailer, but I want to give my full piece on it. One, a lot of these statements are a bit out of context, though still not great, and some of them are just straight up bad. For example, the idea of removing Sokka's character arc around being a sexist is a choice, and one that I think detracts from a lot of the appeal of watching that character change throughout the series. But okay, I guess if you're limited to an episode count, that could be something you pull. It's not something I'd like to see pull, but then adding in on top of that things like, oh, we want to find fans of Game of Thrones and make Aang not want to be doing all these fun adventures and instead very dedicated to Avatar stuff. I want to make it clear before I get more in-depth into this, I think it would be the right call to grow up Avatar The Last Airbender a little bit when bringing it into live action, because some of the humor from the anime I don't think will translate to live action. And yeah, the audience has grown up a bit, but saying like, oh, we want to capture the fans of this super grimdark show, while also removing one of the more complex angles to one of the best characters in the show that could certainly work well in a more grim setting still, is strange. And it seems like there's just confusion on what exactly this show's vision was to be. And on top of that, well, yes, growing up Avatar a little bit could work. I don't think trying to fully grow it up isn't what the adult fans of Avatar The Last Airbender really want. They still go back and rewatch the original series and enjoy it as adults because it's very mature even while being for kids. There is a middle ground, not even one that I think is super vast, and it could be where the show lands. These are headlines from tweets that are trying to get your attention. Personally, my biggest annoyance with all of this is that the term be more like Game of Thrones or Game of Thronesify is, as I said in this tweet, the worst thing to happen to the sci-fi fantasy fandom community since Terry Goodkind learned how to write. It's just like, stop. Whether it is purely a marketing thing, changing an existing book's cover, or trying to grow up, mature even just the marketing or the actual show you're working on, it's like a plague, and I'm so sick of it. It makes me want to watch something less when I see they're just trying to run off not even later seasons Game of Thrones popularity, early seasons Game of Thrones popularity. It's lazy. All of that being said, I don't necessarily think Avatar Last Airbender show is going to be terrible. My personal gut feeling right now, with all of these quotes and having gone to read them in full context, is this could be a good show and a bad adaptation. That's absolutely something we have seen many times before in the sci-fi fantasy space, and with the trailers still looking pretty decent, I'm not just totally giving up that this won't be an engaging thing to watch. It's just most certainly a frustrating time to be a fan of anything that's being adapted. We can all agree on that, whether you're hyped for this show or not. The like Twitter sphere and clickbait headline sphere that pops up around everything is nauseating. And this tweet wasn't even meant to be about the Avatar The Last Airbender show. It's more just the cancerous overuse still in 2024 of people saying we're trying to make things like Game of Thrones in order to get people excited. No one with a head on their shoulders gets excited anymore from hearing, oh, it's gonna be like God. And in a last-minute fantasy news update, we also got a release date and new images for Apple TV Plus's upcoming Dark Matter, based on the novel by the same name, and this one definitely caught my eye. Not only are the images pretty dope, but after looking into the premise of the show, of someone hopping through realities trying to get back home, that's amazing. And Apple TV Plus's track record with science fiction and fantasy is pretty good. Foundation has managed to find its legs. For All Mankind is brilliant, Severance really good, and even outside of the genre, things like Succession are amazing. So yeah, I'll be checking this one out. And I'm happy to say I downloaded the audiobook and I'll be getting you a review as soon as I finish it. Before we wrap things up here, there's a new Patreon exclusive video of me going over my typewriter hobby. It's just, if you want non-book related content from me, that's going to be something I'm going to be trying to do somewhat often over on Patreon. So if you want to see me clean a typewriter, and like the closest thing I've done to like a relaxation video, it's only $1 a month. And before we close out the fantasy news, let's go ahead and give some indie pub promo to a goblin here in the Horde who has written a book, and let's all give him our attention for a little bit because that's just an amazing thing to accomplish. Liches Get Stitches by H.J. Tolson, book 1 in a 4-book series, pitched as a grisly slice-of-life progression fantasy with trigger warnings for violence and gore, featuring people mulch, head bouquets, reverent geese, and some very deadly embroidery. Undead Paradise never looked so good. Evil stirs in the forest of dawning, spreading blight across the ancient boughs. Busy with troubles of her own, Maud, the village witch, just wants to be left alone. Peace and quiet should be easy enough when you're dead, right? Wrong. But this has just been your latest episode of Fantasy News. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here, and have a good one, y'all. Peace.